Hey guys, it's Dana, and it's time to talk about money. Okay, now, this is the second time I'm filming this video. First time, something was wrong with my microphone, and oh, it's so frustrating. But I'm gonna film it again, and I just didn't want to upload a video that had just terrible audio because I can't stand watching or listening, because most of the time I listen to videos with bad audio. I do need a new microphone, I need all new equipment, whatever, who cares? We're just gonna carry on here, and I do want to talk about this topic with the top 10 cities that are in the most financial distress, because Wallet Hub had posted an article. They did, they looked at 100 different cities in 2024. They just recently, in 2025, they posted this. And I thought it was kind of interesting to see, because if you live in one of these cities, then that might be, I don't know, comforting or not comforting, I don't know, to know that everyone in that city, or a lot of people in that city that you're living in, are also facing this distress, and then maybe have some ideas on what you can do about it. And also I have some thoughts on possible relocation. And I am so sorry if these lights are making like a flashing up here. So this is my little office space. Office nook, and it's the worst place to film probably. I'm filming at night, which is terrible lighting. I'm breaking all the rules here. First, let's talk about exactly why it might be that a lot of these areas are struggling so much, or just in general, because overall, at least in America, you know, the price of things are getting expensive. It's hard to make ends meet, and a lot of us are struggling. And even if you feel like you make a lot of money or you make a decent income, it can still seem tough. I mean, we are struggling with this at the grocery store. Still, it's just like, you know, oh my gosh, how expensive things are. And so, you know, number one, like we've talked about before, is inflation, obviously. You know, things are more expensive. Also, housing. I think there's someone who has a house for sale near us, and I am just blown away by how much money they are asking for this house. So housing has just, it's just gone up and up and up. It's seemingly never going to end. I've heard a lot of discussion about housing crash, and it just doesn't seem to be happening. It just seems like no matter what, the price of housing is just continuously more and more expensive, which means, you know, rents are high. It's just hard to afford to live. So it's difficult to find places that are affordable to live that are not in dangerous areas. Of course, it can be done, but it's not easy. So if your housing in itself is expensive, that does make things more difficult. Also, there's been a lot of layoffs. If you're losing your job, if you work for the government, or if you work for the tech industry. I know I work in healthcare, and there's been a lot of layoffs, and it's difficult. Tough times right now. If you don't have work, it can be extremely stressful. So, all right, so I'm going to tell you the 10 cities, and then we'll talk about some ideas that can possibly help as far as what you can be doing to combat these difficult times. So the first city on the list is Houston, Texas. All right, so Houston, Texas, leading the list, has over 9% of its population is in distress, according to Wallet Hub. And the city, it exhibits high search volume in terms of debt and loans. So people are Google searching things about loans. And so I guess this is what they took into account when they were doing their research. Next is Atlanta, Georgia, experiencing a 36% increase in residents with accounts in distress between Q4 2023 and Q4 2024. So the city has the 6th highest number of distressed accounts per person. Jacksonville, Florida, has nearly 16% of its residents having accounts in distress. Dallas, Texas, ranks 4th, and Dallas shows that the trends in bankruptcy filings are going up. Charlotte, North Carolina, Orlando, Florida, San Antonio, Texas, Tampa, Florida, Miami, Florida, and Austin, Texas. So a lot of Texas cities and Florida cities on the list here. Okay, so first is to budget. We talk about budgeting all the time. Probably sick of me hearing me say budget, but you got to budget, right? That's one main way to help you. But let's talk about moving, okay? There actually are some cities, nobody wants to move, but there are some cities that will actually incentivize you monetarily to move to those cities. So I just wanted to point that out here. If you're in an area where housing is extremely expensive and you're really not making ends meet, you're having a hard time, maybe you've lost your job, you might want to consider moving, relocating to a city that will actually pay you to go there. Something that is worth thinking about or considering. Next is to increase your income in some capacity. So I am a strong believer in having some kind of side hustle. If you need some side hustle ideas, I can link a video here for you to go check out. But if you have a side hustle, I feel like it also helps to help you if you do lose your job, because you have something on the side that you can kind of expand upon, or it just gives you some peace of mind, or at least it does for me, to have some peace of mind that you have something else, some other way to generate some kind of income. Whether that's something online, you open an Etsy shop, or you decide to pick up some shifts somewhere doing some coaching, or maybe you can give lessons, or you can deliver groceries through Instacart. There's all kinds of different side hustle ideas, and I highly recommend having just at least one, even if it's just for a few hours a week, just to kind of help you feel like you're making income in multiple different streams of income. And it kind of helps you to have some level of insurance, because no job is ever, bulletproof. You can always be let go. And I can be fired from YouTube. If YouTube suddenly goes down, well then fine, like that's going to be gone. So it's like good to diversify. You need to have your toe dipped in different areas, just to kind of help to give you some level of insurance against a total wipeout of income. So don't overlook community services, okay? So if you really need help with rent, they do have some cities, and they have rent assistance programs, food banks, through local churches. Sometimes they do, there's lots of ways to find food inexpensively or, for free. I think it's definitely worth it to look in your area. And I think a lot of times pride holds a lot of us or people back, because it's, it's like hard to reach out. It's really hard to even ask for help, honestly. And I think especially if you've been living a certain lifestyle that you just can't maintain anymore, it can be really embarrassing. But that's why I think, but there is a lot of people out there who are really willing to help. And so if you need it, then I think that it's important to reach out for that help. And you might discover that in turn, you're able to help others in the future, or through this, through your community. So just think of it in that way, that this is a time that you need help, but you might be able to give back and help someone else as a result in the future. And so don't discount it. I think looking it up is definitely a good idea. So if you do, want to think about sinking funds, which is something I have talked about before. Sinking funds are when you set money aside in a separate bank account, and this is for expenses or things you have to pay for in the future that are irregular. So not necessarily part of your monthly budget, but that these bills do come up. For example, which I like to use, is our trash bill. We have to pay our trash bill every quarter. So every 3 months, the trash bill comes and we have to pay it. So it's not a monthly thing, but if you have some kind of bill like that comes up annually once a year, or camps, summer's coming up, if you have to pay for camp for your kids so that you can get to work. Sinking funds are where you can set aside money every time you get paid into that account to kind of build up, so that way when the time comes you have to pay for those things, you have the money sitting there and you can just pay for it, so then you're less likely to go into debt. Which brings me to another point, which is debt, which is I think that you should do your best to try to eradicate it or eliminate it or minimize it, or at the very least stabilize it, so that you're not adding to your debt. And I know a lot of times when times are tough, you feel like the only way you can afford things is with a credit card, but it's going to make it so much worse in the long run. So try your best to stabilize and not to accrue any new debt if you can. And then obviously if you can begin to pay off your debt, that's even better, because debt really does hold you back especially during tough times, because you're making money and then you're just sending money off to, you're having to send all the money you've earned off to someone else to, pay them back. But So, and if you really can't pay your debt, definitely purchase your food first. I mean, you got to have your priorities as far as your housing and eating, because you don't want to be evicted from your apartment or go through a foreclosure with your home. So definitely pay for those things first before you pay debt payments, even though I know you're going to accrue interest, and then it gets upsetting when they start calling you. Hopefully you're not at that point, but it's important to continue to eat and make sure you're paying for your electricity, so that way you have your basic needs covered. Now, I am gonna leave it there, and I apologize for this video. I do have a full-time job, and I have had a job change recently where I'm working a different position and learning new stuff, and so I'm doing my best to do that and do the best that I can, and so I have minimal time to film, but I'm still committed to trying to continue to keep my channel alive after I've returned, and so I apologize for the low quality if that's the case. Hopefully my microphone worked this time. So, and if you are really struggling financially, don't give up. I mean, I hope this channel helps to inspire you in some way. And like I said, if you are looking for ways or ideas for side hustles, you can go ahead and click the video up here, or if I linked it earlier, or I'll try to link it down below. Try to get multiple sources of income flowing if you can, because I do think that helps during difficult times and also during good times, and then helps to reduce the anxiety about job loss, in my opinion. All right, so I'm thinking of everyone out there, and if you live in one of these cities, let me know down below in the comments. Let me know whether Wallet Hub was correct. Do you feel like a lot of people in your city are in financial distress, or you think that everyone seems like they're doing fine? So I'd love to hear that. All right, guys, I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.